Right now at 5, Pittsburgh State hosted a celebration for the renaming of its technology center.
And we've got a pretty chilly start to our Monday morning out there and relatively nice temperatures. We'll have a look at that forecast, get you out the door coming up.
Plus, a local animal shelter is seeing an influx of animal drop-offs. Our very own Melissa Alexis will share how this could affect animals being adopted.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Well, good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5 a.m. I'm Elise Snowy.
And I'm Chris Warner. It is Monday.
Yes, here we are.
October the 7th. It's a long month.
It
It's
really
going to be
is.
a long month. It's got a few extra days. It's got one extra day compared to last month.
Yes, very true. Halloween.
Yeah. Halloween.
How about that? Coming up. Spooky season.
Doesn't that feel like, I think that's just it. Like, it just doesn't, it's not feeling right, you know? It doesn't feel like Halloween. It doesn't feel like October. Today, though, will.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Okay.
It's a little bit chilly out there this morning. We'll start with a quick look outside from our camera downtown Pittsburgh. We've got clear skies. The temperature is again a bit on the chilly side as we get this Monday underway. And you can see clear skies from our camera at 7th and Rangeline in Joplin as well. A little further to South MoDOT camera at 20th and Rangeline. Also looking fairly good. So we'll head back over to Kansas to the KDOT camera 69 East 520th Avenue. Also, not a bad start to the day out there. Future track heading into the afternoon. We'll have easterly winds out there. And I do not mean Easter time winds, but winds out of the east. And across the area, we'll have clear skies, sunny conditions out there. Temperatures for the most part right around the mid to upper 70s out there. So relatively close to normal for us on our Monday. And relatively close to normal right now. We're sitting at 52 in both Joplin and in Pittsburgh. And temperatures around the region. Up north and off to the east, it's a little bit cooler. We have some upper 40s. And then we've got low to mid 50s. Even Miami Grove a little cooler out there, especially compared to your neighbors into the upper 40s. So again, a bit of a chilly start today. Kids getting on the bus about 50. Clear skies, northeast winds around 5 to 10, and they'll gradually shift out of the east later today. Still sunny, about 74 when the bus brings them home. And again, that's ahead of our highs today, pushing mid, maybe even some upper 70s out there. Sunny. Not a bad wind and relatively pleasant temperatures, like I said, seasonable temperatures. However, as has been the theme here lately, we are going to start to warm up again later this week. Details on that in the full forecast here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
All right, thanks, Chris. Well, 24 years after its construction was finished in 1997, the Kansas Technology Center at Pitt State now has a new name. On Saturday, the center was renamed to the Crossland Technology Center. Furthermore, the College of Technology that is housed within the center was renamed to the Crossland College of Technology. Now, the name change honors the partnership between Pitt State and Crossland Construction, the company who built the center. At the time, the center was the biggest project that Crossland Construction ever tackled.
Well, it's lived here, right, since the beginning of this building and even before then. So this was a natural evolution of our partnership and how to support financially the university, but how we also support students out into careers that are really going to make a difference. I have a little connection here to the mayor, and I'd like to ask the mayor to...
But you know what? They're builders of people.
As they step on this campus...
Now, since its construction, thousands of students have utilized the technology and resources provided by the Crossland Technology Center. Car enthusiasts from all across the 4 states gathered in Pittsburgh over the weekend for the final Cars and Coffee event of the year. The cruise season, which started on April 3rd, has had 3 car get-togethers this year. Over 15 cars were shown off, and get-togethers for Cars and Coffee will start back up next spring. The 56th annual Neosho Fall Festival took place in downtown Neosho Saturday afternoon with hundreds of community members in on all the fun. Now, craft vendors, food trucks, and street artists lined the square while people enjoyed live music and art contests.
I was told that this year we had 250 booths, which was an increase of 108. So that is definitely showing growth. That's worth it.
Activities were available for people of all ages, ranging from bounce houses to laser tag. The festivities in downtown Neosho were available for the public to enjoy for free, with vendors starting to close up shop by 6 p.m. The Wyatt Earp Fall Festival took place in downtown Lamar on Saturday. Events began at 10 a.m. in the morning with dozens of vendors to choose from. The festival contained a baby and animal contest, as well as Wild West reenactments of the Wyatt Earp and the cowboys he hunted.
I think just the history, of Wyatt Earp. People come out here, we've got the reenactors, and they put on skits and shows, and just the community involvement coming together and celebrating our heritage.
Now, the festival took place at the Wyatt Earp Park in Lamar, which finished construction in 2023. The Golden Paw in Joplin has been experiencing an overwhelming influx of animals being dropped off. KOAM's Melissa Alexis has more about how it's affecting this local pet rescue.
Our episodes this week, our problems this week were horrible.
Mary Ann Schlau, the owner of Golden Paw, had 18 dogs dumped at their facility in the span of 2 days.
Woke up and we had 9 dogs crammed in crates and cages sitting in front of our door. Okay. This was 5 o'clock in the morning.
And the following day, the same thing happened again.
And there's 9 more out there, stuffed in crates, tied to our railings.
So overwhelming. All of us are exhausted with this issue and sitting down realizing how big this issue is.
She says Joplin Humane Society is no longer accepting dogs due to overcapacity, which overwhelms them with figuring out where to put the dogs.
Now, I have to give credit to the director of Joplin Animal Control, but he spent his whole day trying to find a place for 7 dogs.
She says one of the causes of dogs being dumped is the expense of caring for a pet.
People don't have the money. The economy is no good. You can't feed an animal. You can't house an animal. Landlords throw them out of their buildings even when they've been there.
She says to prevent the amount of dogs that are left without a home, people should do their part to spay and neuter their animals. Reporting in Joplin, Melissa Alexis, KOAM News.
The Joplin Humane Society says they're looking for community support through more foster homes, pet owners reclaiming their dogs, and adoptions to make space to help more animals in need. And that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, the New York Yankees won a thriller of a game, a one-divisional game against the Royals. We'll see how Kansas City plans to get back on track for the next game. Plus, the Red Cross makes a delivery of much-needed medical supplies into Lebanon. We'll have those details. And Chris returns with another look at your Monday forecast. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back.
Pitt State football is now 4-1 on the season. The Gorillas are currently in a 3-way tie for second place in the MIAA standings. On Saturday, the team picked up their second straight win. Pitt State got their revenge on Missouri Western. Last season, it was the Griffins who defeated the Gorillas in what was Pitt State's only loss of the regular season in 2023. This year, the result was different. Pitt State head coach Tom Anthony spoke about the team's motivation after Saturday's game.
Anytime you lose to a team the previous year, I think there's always extra motivation, and I think there was for our guys this week. And Mo West is a great football team. They're a team that took Emporia down to the final play, a couple weeks ago, and dropped a touchdown pass that should have won them the game. So, they're a great football team. They're going to win a lot of football games. They're well coached. They play hard. So I knew it was going to be a battle. Our players knew it was going to be a battle, and it was. It was a good football game, and so a few momentum changes for us went our way in the second half, and our guys took advantage of that.
Well, Kansas City Royals lost Game 1 of the ALDS to the New York Yankees on Saturday night. The Royals look to bounce back to even the series. Royals manager Matt Quatraro spoke to the media on Sunday about where the Royals' confidence is heading into Game 2.
they're a good lineup, and especially you can't expect to keep them to 0 or 1 run very often. So we know we're gonna have to swing the bats, and I certainly hope they built some confidence yesterday. I mean, we came into this series knowing we belong in this series. It's not a well, can we play with these guys? We know we can play with these guys, and we're not playing this this isn't a feel good thing. We're trying to win.
We've entered week 5 of the NFL, and it has been just about the most wild week yet. We're already a fourth of the way through the pro football regular season, and this week didn't disappoint. First AFC North matchup this season. Chiefs have played each of these two teams in the last 2 AFC championship games. Let's go to the fourth quarter. Ravens down 38-35. Lamar Jackson hits his receiver, Tylan Wallace. That's a first down and sets up a game-time field goal that sends the game into overtime. Ravens with the coin toss. They have the ball, but Lamar Jackson fumbles, and it's picked up by Jermaine Pratt. Bengals now have the ball within field goal range. Evan McPherson comes on to try a game-winning field goal. Snap is good, but a bad hold leads to a bad miss. That gives Baltimore life once again. All the Ravens need is points of any kind to win this game. They pitch it to Derrick Henry. Finds the space he needs, and he's off to the races. Looks like he's gone for a touchdown, but he gets tackled inside the 10-yard line. That sets up a chip shot field goal attempt. Justin Tucker's kick is good. Baltimore beats the Bengals 41-38 in an overtime thriller. Elsewhere around the AFC, lots of action that could lead to playoff implications in the future. First, from the AFC West, the Las Vegas Raiders lose to the Denver Broncos for the first time since the team moved to Las Vegas. Broncos beat the Raiders 34-18. Then the Houston Texans beat the Buffalo Bills 23-20 off a 59-yard game-winning field goal. Then, of course, you can't forget about the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs are playing on Monday Night Football against New Orleans Saints. Chiefs are 4-0 and looking to stay undefeated with a win. Kickoff is scheduled for tonight at 7:15. Well, still to come, an Arizona couple is hoping to raise awareness for Rett syndrome after discovering their daughter has the rare disease. Plus, another check of that forecast and when the warm-up comes back when we come back. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. It's now 5:17 on this Monday morning. We're going to start with the future track, which unfortunately is just like it was last week out there over the next couple of days. Maybe a cloud or two overnight tonight. Outside of that, we stay dry and we stay warm. Now, initially, at least today and into tomorrow, we're not that far from normal across the region. We're going to be a little warmer tomorrow, so we'll start to see temperatures starting to climb a little more above average for our Tuesday as we go more upper 70s and maybe a couple of additional low 80s out there. And then after we get past Tuesday, we head into Wednesday, and we're going to see temperatures begin to climb back well above average across the region as we go back into the low to mid 80s, and those temperatures will continue to rise as we head into our Thursday out there as well. But as you saw too on the future track, still no rain on the horizon, which is not good news because we know how much we need rain, and there's just nothing out there right now. We got 52 in Joplin. Northeast breeze is at 3. Skies are clear, so we're relatively close to normal right now across the region. Most of us into the upper 40s and low 50s across the area. So again, this is close to where we should be. We should be hanging out in about the low 50s. So not too bad out there whatsoever. And then as we head through the morning, it'll be a chilly start, at least, compared to where we usually are or where we have been here lately. Right around 50, sunny skies. Will eventually make it to the upper 60s by 11 o'clock this morning, and eventually again on our way for highs with those sunny skies into the the mid to upper 70s out there. And we'll have an easterly wind at about 5 to 10 miles an hour. Well, into the overnight, the winds will shift out of the northeast, still about 5 to 10. And as you saw in future track as well, maybe a few clouds out there here and there, so mostly clear skies once we head later into the overnight. We'll fall back again a bit on the chilly side, upper 40s, low 50s out there, so close to or maybe even just a little below average out there. We'll have a few clouds again on our Tuesday, a little warmer, more upper 70s, maybe a couple of low 80s, and we get to the low to mid 80s for our Thursday. Sunny skies continuing. The sunshine continues into the weekend and next week as well, and as you can see, temperatures toward the end of this week week start climbing again, upper 80s, maybe even some low 90s across the area. And we head into our Sunday night into Monday rather. We have a cold front that's going to push through, and that's going to drop our temperatures back a little closer to normal out there. And we'll start to warm back up, though. It's a brief cool down once again, back into the upper 70s, pushing to the low 80s by the middle of next week. That's a check of your forecast. We'll be back with Health Watch right after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning. A new survey data reveals just how many kids stress about school. Anywhere's Children's Health Survey says that 64% of kids ages 9 to 13 have worried about school. Now, the worries have a range to them from being bullied by other students to not being invited to other kids' social events like parties, worrying about their grades, or even having separation anxiety from parents. Homework is also a major stressor, with about 60% of kids saying they fret about it. Now, experts say the best thing parents can do to connect with their child is by helping them with their assignments and asking them specific questions like, "What did you learn today?" instead of asking open-ended questions. More younger people are getting colonoscopies, according to a new study. The U.S. Preventative Services Task Force recommended a lower screening age for colonoscopies in 2021, lowering the age from 50 to 45. A study published in the journal JAMA Network Open found there has been a small but significant increase in screening among younger people. Now, screenings among patients ages 45 to 49 have increased threefold since the guidelines changed. Now, the study looked at data from more than 10 million patients with Blue Cross Blue Shield insurance. Colorectal cancer cases have been on the rise in people under the age of 50 in the last 20 years. Well, a restaurant in Arizona will be donating $1 from every dessert to fund a cure for Rett syndrome throughout the month of October. Irene Snyder takes us there to learn more.
3-year-old Collie is as smiley as can be. And as a baby, she developed in much the same way as her 3 older siblings.
She rolled, she crawled, she smiled, she sat. She did all the typical things. And then at her first birthday, we noticed that she wasn't pulling herself up to stand.
The Disney family got early intervention to evaluate Collie. They were referred to a neurologist for genetic testing. That's when they found out Collie has Rett syndrome, a rare genetic disease that affects brain development.
We were absolutely devastated. I mean, it turned our whole world upside down because we envisioned her having this life that would be just like her siblings, which they're very active and very vibrant, full of life. And when you do a quick Google search on Rett syndrome, and it just really brings up like tragedy and despair and death. And so as a mom, that's like the biggest heartbreak.
There's a lot of confusion initially. And what does this mean? What do we do? What does that mean for her life? What restrictions does that put on her? And so as you start to unpack it, you start to realize how much restriction that is on her.
They started a fundraiser with Picasso's Healthy Italian Kitchen. Collie's dad, Chris Disney, is a managing partner there. Throughout the month of October, for Rett Syndrome Awareness Month, they'll be donating $1 from every dessert to fund a cure for Rett's. And year-round, $1 from this cookie dish will be donated to the cause.
It gives you a sense of peace, a sense of, value where you feel like you're doing something. A lot of parents, when you have these diagnoses, your hands are just tied and you're just constantly back and forth to doctors, and more confusion sets in and more struggle. And so during these times where you feel like, okay, I know that I'm doing something.
Because every little bit helps. And someday, they're hoping little Collie can be cured.
The more awareness and attention we can bring to it, we're just so grateful.
And that's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
And we've got ourselves a chilly start to the day out there. We'll have another look at your forecast when we come back.
Right now at 5:30, law enforcement officials in Cherokee County hosted an event to help raise money for their reserve officers.
And it's a pretty chilly start to the day out there. Some of us relatively close to average. We're going to have a relatively pleasant day as well. We'll have a look at that forecast to get you out the door coming up.
Plus, the Missouri Lieutenant Governor makes a stop in Joplin to stress the importance of learning the details of your ballot.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5:29. I'm Elise Snowy.
I'm Chris Warner. It's Monday, October the 7th, and we're into another week of this fine month of October. So you ever get caught up in a word sometimes? Like I just noticed, I think I said relatively about 12 different times in 10 seconds. I don't do it on purpose. It just sometimes your brain just doesn't clear a word. You don't hit the return key to the next line, and it just keeps repeating.
Keep saying it. Oh, I totally get it.
Luckily,
I have the words on a screen for me.
I think that's the problem. Is it's one thing if you're reading it off of here, the words somebody else has written several different words for you, but when you're just kind of pulling from your head, sometimes it just doesn't always work right. You're just relatively. So we're relatively going to take a look outside at our relatively new camera in downtown Pittsburgh, which is relatively high up on 4th and Broadway. I don't do it on purpose, I promise. It just sometimes the brain just doesn't fire properly. This is all coming from up here, and up here sometimes is like scrambled eggs in the morning. All right, looking good though. Skies are clear. Temperatures a bit on the cool side. Most of us relatively close to normal. Some of us a few degrees below. Not that that's bad considering all this warm weather we've had, and unfortunately there's more of that coming up later. Our camera 7th and range line looking pretty good as well. MoDOT camera at 20th and range line also looking good. We've got one guy in line. Well, if he's sitting there, there's probably maybe one other car ahead of him there. And at the KDOT camera, 69 East 520th Avenue, just south of Pittsburgh, it's also looking good. Clear skies out there. Future track, other than showing some easterly winds, that's about it. No cloud cover out there as we head into the afternoon. No rain. And for the most part, temperatures relatively close. Oh, I did it again. I told you, I'm not even trying. Temperatures about average. How's that? That beats relatively. All right, temperatures right now, though, close to normal as well. 52 in Joplin, 51 in Pittsburgh. A little cooler up to the north and around Miami and Grove. See, compared to your neighbors, upper 40s. And we've got some upper 40s outside of that, and then the low to mid 50s. So again, we're supposed to be in the low 50s. We're not that far from that for many of us, and a lot of us actually, right where we should be. About 50 when the kids get on the bus. Clear skies, northeast breeze around 5 to 10. Still clear, warmer, 74. East winds around 5 to 10. Temperatures today on the average, about average, as we go into the mid, maybe some upper 70s out there with those east winds. It'll be pretty decent tomorrow, a little warmer, and then the heat, believe it or not, will return once again across the 4 states. We'll have another look at your full forecast and less relatively here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
Right, Chris, thanks for that relatively decent look at the forecast. Well, it was a good time to be a pet in Fort Scott, Kansas this weekend as the First Presbyterian Church blessed community pets. KOAM's Mitch Adams has the story.
It's important to take a moment to realize that animals are a gift that we've been given to care for and to appreciate and to love, and they give so much back.
The First Presbyterian Church blessed pets and their owners in Fort Scott. Each dog, cat, ferret, or goose was given a St. Francis medallion and blessed by the church's pastor. This Sunday after church, the animals were the star of the show.
It's really about them today, and just taking a moment to remind the adults, the humans in their lives, that they're a blessing.
Pet blessings lead back over 800 years to St. Francis of Assisi, the patron saint of ecology and animals. Many of the pets blessed were rescued from dumping or abuse, and this event was a way to show love to the pets that were saved from rough conditions.
You know, I think all of us are sensitive to the mistreatment that we often see. You would be surprised at how many of us here today, some of the dogs that we have were just dumped.
The dumping Jane Campbell mentions has also affected local shelters and their ability to house animals. For those who may be considering adding a furry friend to your family, Campbell offers something to think about.
I mean, there's no law that says anybody has to have a pet. So if you don't think you're making a commitment basically for life, obviously, sometimes things just absolutely make it impossible, but basically for life, then you shouldn't have that animal.
All in all, the pet blessing is a way to pause and reflect on how fortunate these creatures and their humans really are. In Fort Scott, Mitch Adams, KOAM News.
Well, this was the first year that the church held a gathering like this under their current pastor, but they have plans to make this an annual tradition. The Baxter Springs Police Department, in conjunction with the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office, held a back-to-badge event Saturday. The annual event is to raise money for the reserve programs within the law enforcement agencies. The reserves do not receive any form of payment, and they are often asked to purchase their own equipment.
Seeing the community come out and support us and get a chance to visit with them and talk to them about many different subjects within the county. And it's a good time for the community to also meet the men and women of these reserve units that volunteer their time to help ensure their safety.
The money raised from the event was split evenly between the two programs. The village in Golden City put on its second harvest party. Guests could enjoy lunch, music, games, and more. Artisans were also brought in to show off crocheting and spin wheeling. Guests could also go inside the store for ice cream. The Joplin Regional Airport's Freedom of Flight Museum held their annual Wings and Wheels celebration. The car and plane show included over 100 cars and 15 planes, along with partnerships of the American Legion and Civil Air Patrol. Now, kids could also participate in some basic STEM activities like launching straw rockets, basic coding, and making a hovercraft, and more. Well, it's homecoming weekend for the Missouri Southern Lions. Saturday morning, downtown Joplin Main Street was closed as Missouri Southern State University held their homecoming parade. Now, a few of KOAM's own, including me and Chris, made an appearance at the parade. The theme for this year's parade was Wild West. All of this taking place before kickoff, which happened at 2 p.m. that afternoon. Well, Missouri Lieutenant Governor Mike Kehoe made an appearance in Southwest Missouri Saturday. Kehoe, who is running for governor of the Show Me State, hosted a meet and greet event with supporters in Joplin at the Jasper County Republican headquarters. With the general election just 31 days from now, the gubernatorial candidate stressed the importance of learning the details about what's on the ballot.
I encourage them to do the research. You can search on the internet information about any of the issues, our candidates that are on the ballot, and you'll find a lot of pros and cons on each of those issues. So I would encourage Missourians to do that. And then also, as I mentioned earlier, they might have friends that they trust with their opinion.
If you have any questions concerning the upcoming election, just head over to KOAMnewsnow.com/elections, where we've provided plenty of information. Well, the Pittsburgh Public Library celebrated an extraordinary career this weekend. Since 1992, Carol Ann Robb, a lifelong Pittsburgh resident, has spent her career sharing a love of reading and books with patrons of the library. With her talent for matching readers with books, Robb has recommended tens of thousands of titles to community members. Since joining the library in 1992, Robb has played a pivotal role in the library's expansion and has implemented countless programs, from book discussions to poetry readings and author visits, but most notably the Coffee and Carol's Holiday Program.
People come in, we'd have Christmas treats, kids from Storytime would come in, we'd usually have a story, and then we would have a carol sing-along, and it was just a fun program, and it brought people of all ages together, and that's the one thing I really think I'm most proud of.
The library recognized the decades worth of service Robb has provided before she officially turns the page on this chapter in her life. And that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. An Arizona restaurant is helping the homeless community by providing a free meal. And today marks the one-year anniversary of the Hamas terror attacks on Israel. We'll have the latest from the Middle East. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. Topping World Watch. Desperately needed medical supplies will soon be distributed in Lebanon. Now, the Red Cross says 17 tons of medical supplies arrived in Beirut on Friday. The shipment includes surgical material and other life-saving equipment. The stockpile will be distributed to hospitals and medical centers across Lebanon, including specialized trauma units. Nearly 1,000 people have been injured since Israel's offensive began last October, putting a strain on the already struggling healthcare system. Well, Greek Cypriot President Nikos Christodoulidis welcomed a group of U.S. senators to the island's main airbase. U.S. Marine V-22 Ospreys have been deployed to visit in possible evacuations of U.S. citizens from the region. Christodoulidis told the senators of the initiatives his administration has undertaken to assist in the supply of humanitarian aid to Gaza via a maritime corridor, as well as offering the island's facilities to help third country nationals being evacuated from the region. Well, a massive blast outside an airport in Pakistan killed 2 people and injured at least 8 on Sunday, according to officials. Government and police officials say a tanker exploded outside of Karachi Airport, the largest airport in Pakistan. An official says the attack was targeting Chinese nationals. Now, thousands of Chinese people are working in the country. Most are involved in a multi-billion-dollar Belt and Road initiative that connects Beijing with South and Central Asia. The deputy inspector says they are still investigating the blast. Well, today marks 1 year since the October 7th massacre by Hamas terrorists on Israeli settlements. More than 100 hostages are believed to still be held in Gaza as the war has expanded to another front on Israel's northern border. Trey Yingst reports.
Yeah, earlier today there were sirens sounding in southern Israel amid multiple rockets being fired from the Gaza Strip. This is the first time we've seen significant rocket fire in weeks as the factions inside Gaza have had their capabilities significantly reduced by the Israeli air and ground campaign. And it comes ahead of the 1-year anniversary of the horrific October 7th massacre. And we do know overnight the Israelis launched fresh airstrikes in the northern part of Gaza this morning after the sun rose. New evacuation orders were given to Palestinian civilians there. An indication the Israelis are likely to operate in this area, especially with so many Israeli civilians heading to the southern part of this country tomorrow to mark that day. Now, as we look here to the northern front, we've seen ongoing rocket from the Iran-backed Lebanese militant group Hezbollah, not only targeting the city of Haifa here, but also many of the northern border communities. Overnight, the Israelis ramped up their strikes against Hezbollah strongholds in the southern part of the Lebanese capital of Beirut, targeting the Dakhya neighborhood, an indication that Israel will continue to put pressure on Hezbollah as they systematically take out the leadership of the organization while pushing in ground forces to southern Lebanon to develop that buffer zone between northern Israel and southern Lebanon. Still, though, the X factor today remains Iran. Following that ballistic missile attack last week, 180 ballistic missiles soaring through the skies of this country. There are questions about when and how Israel will retaliate.
And that's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 5:46 now on this Monday morning. We're going to start with the future track, and we're going to show you, we'll have a few clouds tonight. And that's how you know the future track is functioning properly, because it will at least show that. Otherwise, we are dry and we are sticking with mostly clear skies through tonight and into tomorrow as well. Temperatures tomorrow are going to be a little warmer than they will be today. And then as we head into the middle of this week, temperatures will really start to warm up across the region. Unfortunately, we can see we start seeing a southerly breeze once again out there, and that's going to lead to highs above normal. Today is going to be the closest normal day we have, at least this week. And last week it was almost the same way. First day of October was the most normal October day we had. And we're also keeping an eye on Hurricane Milton down in the Gulf, expected to become a major hurricane before too much longer and eventually begin to track off to the east. So you can see where the expectation is for it to become a Category 4 hurricane as it lifts off toward the Florida Panhandle, eventually making landfall as a strong Category 3 hurricane. Now, right now, the path puts it just immediately south of Tampa, almost right on top of Sarasota out there. So it is something that definitely bears watching for the folks in Florida, as this is not going to be a good event for them. It'll eventually then head out into the Atlantic and kind of wrap up. So on that note, there are hurricane watches that do include Tampa and Fort Myers, stretching down along the west coast of Florida and then to the north and south of that. So down toward Key West, there are tropical storm watches in effect. So we aren't going to deal with anything from Hurricane Milton as it'll track off to the east, but still, for our friends in Florida, not a pleasant situation considering what they've already been through down there, and they've got more on the way. 52 here in Joplin, northeast breeze at 3. The skies are clear. We got some cool temperatures out there, some mid to upper 40s. We should be about the low 50s, and then we've got a number of low mid 50s. So we're relatively close to average. We're not too far from normal this morning, but some of us a little bit on the cool side. So chilly start to the day, sunny skies about 50, and we'll be pretty decent by 11. Still sunny and upper 60s. Winds out of the east today at about 5 to 10 miles an hour, and our highs mid 70s, maybe some upper 70s out there as well. So again, close to normal for us. Tonight, again, a little below normal for some, upper 40s, maybe some low 50s, and the clear skies will continue initially through the evening. And as we showed you on Future Track, as we head into the overnight, we'll see a few clouds out there. A few clouds also on our Tuesday, a bit warmer, upper 70s, maybe a couple of low 80s. Warmer by Wednesday, low to mid 80s, and after that, temperatures start to take off again into the upper 80s, maybe some low 90s heading into the weekend. And then it's almost been a consistent pattern. Third week in a row, we've got a cold front that's going to come through late Sunday into early Monday. Again, at this time, we're not looking at any rain chances with it, which really it just stinks. We need the rain, and you can see there's nothing on here. But it does bring us back down briefly to normal, mid-70s on Monday, and then we'll start to warm up just like we have over the last couple of weeks. By the middle of next week, back into the low 80s. That's Check Out Your Forecast. We'll be back with more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
One restaurant in Arizona is paying it forward, offering the local homeless population a warm meal and a sense of community. Irene Snyder has more.
We definitely want to be always ready to help, and this is who we are, and we have to do this, no matter how hard it gets.
The Loving Hut certainly lives up to its name. For years, they've been giving out free fried rice to those who are struggling, often with nowhere else to turn.
We've always given homeless guests fried rice, and then our customers heard about it, so the Pay It Forward came into fruition because they wanted to participate.
The way their Pay It Forward system works, customers can come in, get their own meal, and then purchase a separate meal to be eaten later on when someone who needs it stops by.
Instead of just fried rice, we could do anything on our menu, even they're adding like drinks to it, and we get probably about 2 to 3 Pay It Forwards a day. And they go really fast too because our homeless guests hear about it or people in need.
One of their regular customers is Aaron. He picks up one of the prepaid Pay It Forward meals every day. His goal someday is to go into business management.
It really helps me. It helps me spend more time at the library and read and study and help to build up my readiness for college and work.
While the food is great, for Aaron, stopping by the Love Hut means more to him than just getting a free meal.
What brings you back every day?
The people.
And the people there are always happy to know they're making a difference.
It really uplifts us every single time it happens, and it really gives us hope.
What an incredible way to give back. Stick around. We'll be right back. Well-known Berlin landmarks were transformed on Friday during the 20th Annual Festival of Lights. Now, thousands watched as iconic buildings such as the Brandenburg Gate, the TV Tower, and the cathedral were adorned with color and creations. Aquariums of fish, dancing, and insects will be on display from October 4th to the 13th. Over 10 nights, historic monuments, iconic buildings, and popular locations will illuminate the city, united under the theme Celebrating Freedom. The 52nd Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta kicked off in Albuquerque, New Mexico on Saturday with balloons of staggering sizes and shapes dotting the skies in a colorful early morning spectacle known as Mass Ascension. Now, the massive balloons lay flattened on the ground of the Balloon Fiesta Park until launch time, when they were inflated to full size, seemingly obscuring the horizon as they rose from the ground and into the air. More than 500 balloons were expected to be part of the 9-day festival.
And hot air balloons are certainly a sight to see out there. And we've got ourselves our own sight to see. It's a normal October day. We're going to start about 50 degrees, sunny skies, and make the upper 60s by 11 o'clock this morning. Heading into the afternoon, highs about average, mid-upper 70s across the region. East winds at about 5 to 10 miles an hour. We'll be clear through the evening, and then overnight tonight, we'll see a few more clouds begin to roll in across the area. And we're going to be at or just a little below normal into the upper 40s and maybe some low 50s across the area. Now for our Tuesday, temperatures do start to warm up just a little bit. We're talking upper 70s, maybe a couple of low 80s and a few clouds here and there. Much warmer Wednesday, low to mid 80s. And then the heat returns once again as we head into the second half of this week. Upper 80s, low 90s, and then almost, you could darn near set your watch by it, another cold front Sunday night into Monday. Doesn't bring us any rain, unfortunately, at this point, but does put our temperatures back to normal, albeit briefly. We'll start to go back to the low 80s by the middle of next week. That is a check of your forecast. We will be back with more right after this.